Great. So that's all going through there now too. Right. So I'm going to share my screen with you now and share the presentation so we'll get underway. So hopefully you can all see that now. Can you see that, Dave and Charlotte? Can you give us a thumbs up? Yep. Great. Excellent. Thank you very much. So thanks again for joining us tonight. It's great to have you all online for this webinar. My name is Vicky Moore. For those of you who don't know me, I am the Director of Island Cruising and Down Under Rally. I've been doing this since 2021, so this will be our fourth rally to the Pacific coming up. I also purchased the Down Under Rally last year, and I've done lots of sailing. I'm an offshore yacht master, founder of Women Who Sail, a former director of Yachting New Zealand, and also the former onboard operations manager for Sail GP, the Lyttelton event. I've actually got my Sail GP jersey on tonight. So it's great to meet you, those of you who I haven't met before. Island cruising has been around for since about the mid-1980s, actually. So it must be coming up to our 40th birthday party, and I think that's probably a good excuse for a celebration sometime soon. It was started by a couple who were helping promote tourism in Tonga, and so they decided to run a yachting event. And so since that time, in the last 40 years, we've helped thousands of cruisers head offshore to the islands. And I'm the fifth owner of Island Cruising. I'm very proud to be a part of this really awesome organisation. Last year, I also bought the Down Under Rally, which is the Australian version of Island Cruising. I'd always worked really closely with John Hembro, who is the instigator of the Down Under Rally. I met him years ago when I was cruising up in New Caledonia. And John contacted me last year and said, approached me to buy the business and said, yeah, I'm sure it'll work. You know, you'll be able to combine it in together and make one seamless solution for yachties wanting to cruise around the South Pacific, Australia and New Zealand. And John was right. It's worked out really, really well this season. And it's been fantastic getting to know a lot of our Australian members and being able to allow the New Zealanders to cruise to Australia at the end of the season, or the Aussies to come to New Zealand, either at the beginning or the end of the season as well, to join us on the rallies heading north up to the islands. It's all worked out really, really well. So I'm really proud to have that in the fold, if you like. So what is a yacht rally? And basically a rally can be whatever you want it to be, but in general terms, it's about having cruising adventures with people heading in the same direction. And we take this to the next step. So we really spend a lot of time helping you prepare your boat, yourself and your crew to get ready for the adventures ahead. And we also provide a lot of flexibility. So sometimes people think, oh, I'm not really a rally person. I don't really want to sail around and hang out with other people that I don't know. You certainly don't have to do that. You can be on the rally, but still be completely independent and do your own thing. Or you can be on the rally and connect up with others heading in the same direction, people that you get along with and are like-minded social sailors with. You can hang out with them, or you can go off and do your own thing. So there is a sort of flexible schedule, but you're not stuck to it. You can tailor the whole rally to suit your own requirements. So please don't feel like you're not a rally person. You can just take out of it the bits that you really want to experience and leave the things that you don't want to. And we also welcome powerboats. We've actually got 6 powerboats on the rally this season, so large sort of ocean-going powerboats, and they're having a lot of fun as well. So you don't have to be a yacht. The smallest yacht we've got is about 35 foot, and the largest one we've got is 32 meters, a small super yacht. So there's a really wide range of boats and vessels involved in the rally. So don't feel like you're not the right boat to fit. We're happy to tailor a solution to suit you and get you involved in one way or another. So let's have a look at the South Pacific. And as you can see, sort of geography-wise, Australia and New Zealand are really well positioned to be able to access a lot of these islands sort of up in the Southwest Pacific here. So our main area of focus on the rally is Tonga, Fiji, Vanuatu, and New Caledonia. So from New Zealand, it's about 1,000 nautical miles from New Zealand to all of these places from Opua. From Australia, it's about 800 nautical miles to Noumea, about 1,000 or 1,100 to Vanuatu, or about 1,000 to cross the Tasman to come to New Zealand. So we've got all this incredible cruising ground literally right on our doorstep. And if you speak to people who've sailed around the world, they literally say that the Southwest Pacific is the best part. So you're in a great spot already to start off with. When it comes to seasons for sailing, the reason why people sail during May until October is because of the South Pacific cyclone season. So this is a picture showing all of the tracks of the cyclones that have occurred throughout the Southwest Pacific over a period of years. So this is over a long period of time. So generally speaking, we wait until after the cyclone season has finished, which is in sort of April, May kind of time is the end of cyclone season, and we'll sail through until October, and then most people will head back to either New Zealand or Australia or further on north up to Indonesia. When it comes to the weather, this becomes a really big part of your passage planning exercise. So as you can see down here in Australia and New Zealand, down further south here, we're in the westerlies belt at the bottom of the screen there. So the prevailing wind, and as you know from if you're in New Zealand, most of our weather comes from Australia across the Tasman Sea, hits New Zealand, then continues on out to the east of us towards French Polynesia. When you get up into the islands, however, there is the prevailing wind is the southeast trade winds. So the key thing to planning your passage around the South Pacific is to start in the east and head west. So if you're starting in New Zealand, you don't want to go to New Caledonia first and try and work your way back towards Tonga, for example. You want to start in Tonga and work your way west again. If you're in Australia, we've got a system or a way that you can work your way against it to get up to New Caledonia, or you could cross the Tasman to New Zealand and join us up to Tonga and then head back to Australia at the end of the season. But definitely factor that into your plans. You want to start in the east and head west. As I mentioned earlier, we've got a great cruising ground on our doorstep, literally. So this just is a little clearer picture to give you an idea of the routes that you can take. And you can pick and choose your own destinations. I'll talk a bit more about that later on. But typically speaking, most people in May will depart from Opua, head up to Tonga, across to Fiji. And if you want to experience Vanuatu and New Caledonia, you can do that on your way back to New Zealand again in October. Or we have people from Australia joining us over summertime in New Zealand, up to Tonga and back to Australia. Or Australians can go up to Vanuatu or across to New Caledonia or Vanuatu and back to Australia again. So there's heaps of different options, and you can pick and choose which destinations you want to go to. So if you're dreaming of sailing in the South Pacific, how do you take the first step? Well, we've broken it down into sort of 4 easy steps, if you like, and they're not that easy, to be honest, but there are 4 steps that you need to go through. The first one is the preparation phase, so that's what we're in at the moment, so getting you and your boat and your crew all ready to go for their voyage ahead. The next tricky step is the passage, and of course, if it's your first time offshore, this is always a big adventure, and so that's the next tricky phase. And then step 3 is the most enjoyable part, of course, whilst you're up in the islands cruising and having fun and living your dream, basically. And then at the end of the season, supporting you again to either go west or sail south, and finishing and concluding your trip at the end of the season. So step 1 can take some time. So depending on whether you're dreaming or going when the kids have left school or left home, or when you've retired, or when you've saved up enough money to buy your dream boat, you can still get involved in this preparation stage now, even if you don't have your boat ready yet, or even if you're not ready to go offshore straight away or next year. And part of that preparation is joining up as a member of Island Cruising and Down Under Rally. We do online training. We've got like weekly workshops that you can tap into all sorts of resources online that basically break down all of the steps to get ready to go offshore into sort of bite-sized pieces. And there's plenty you can do before you even have your boat. So it could be getting your training done, learning more about navigation, thinking about safety equipment and procedures on board your boat. We've got lots of videos online, reading, other resources like templates you can fill out. We do have webinars with some of our suppliers who are talking a lot about their products and different solutions that they've come up with for various things. You also get great discounts from our suppliers and our business partners. We have social events and other activities, and you can basically just keep in touch with what's going on with the rally and learn a lot through other people's experiences along the way, if you like. So joining as a member is just $129, and you can also join as a crew member and do some crewing on other people's boats as well. So step one is definitely signing up as a member. As I say, we've got all the webinars and things like that we do all over the place, and you get discounts on various training courses such as offshore medic, learning how to sort of deal with patients at sea, doing stitches and staples if you need to. Broken leg on one of the rally boats on the left-hand side there. We also just had a broken leg last week on one of the boats. This one in here is a guy that got bitten by a fish last year on the way to Tonga. The fish wasn't very happy about being caught, and bit the guy as he was trying to escape off of the boat, which he said was like being bitten by a hacksaw. But apparently the doctor in Tonga was very impressed with the stapling that he did. We've had crushed fingers and other things like that. So you're in a remote place when you're on a boat or in some of these remote islands. So we recommend that you get some good training and a good Cat 1 medical kit to go with your training as well to take offshore. Sea survival courses as well, so we get discounts on those for you as well. Skipper Training is our preferred provider here in New Zealand, and Paper Sailors Rock in Australia. They'll take care of you if you're wanting to do your training. And a lot of this includes like practical skills, so you can be in the pool, learning how to swim with your life jacket inflated, getting in and out of the life raft, setting off flares and that kind of stuff. So it's a really hands-on practical course. They also have refreshers if you've already done the course. Your certificate is valid for 5 years, so you can just go and do the practical experience again if you like, and reset that part to refresh your certificate. And we've got heaps of other great sponsors and partners who give all sorts of interesting deals and discounts and advice to our rally participants. And there's all sorts of things in there, for everything from sail makers to wine products to steering systems and anchoring and water makers and all sorts of things. So I highly recommend that you join early and take advantage of a lot of the discounts and things that you can get out of utilizing these incredible sponsors that we have and partners. Step 2 in your journey is joining a rally. So the key thing about joining the rally is, I think, committing to going next year. So I think a lot of you have probably met that guy or girl in the yacht club bar that's been in the corner for years and years and has always dreamed about going offshore sometime, but has never quite gotten around to it. So by committing to joining the rally early and you've actually set a date, you've drawn a line in the sand, and you're committed to heading away at that particular time. And this is when we really ramp up the preparations. You get a lot of extra content and workshops to help you through the process. We've created a yacht manual, which is in line with the Cat 1 safety regulations. And this is basically a place where you can record all the details of your boat in line with what the Cat 1 regulations say that you need to have on board. And you can quickly and easily see where any gaps lie. And that's where you can focus all of your attention to over the next coming months. And we help you keep focused and stay on track with your preparations. And we can help you deal with everything else that comes your way. So you don't need to spend any extra time on researching all the paperwork and documentation, all that kind of stuff. It's all included. So you can get focused on all the tasks ahead, and we keep you on track with checklists and lots of reminders. So Cat 1, if you're a member of Island Cruising, you've probably seen my comms over the last couple of weeks about the changes to Cat 1, which has recently been handed in by Yachting New Zealand and back over to Maritime New Zealand. I'm actually having a meeting with Maritime New Zealand on Wednesday just to talk through the new process. Just to let you know, though, don't be afraid of the Cat 1 process. It is basically the gold standard for getting your boat prepared to go offshore. It's a fantastic process, actually, all the rules and regulations to get you through making sure that your boat is safe for the adventures ahead. And the new Maritime New Zealand system is supposedly not going to be too much of a change to what we've experienced in the past, but I'll be running through any concerns that I've got with them on Wednesday, and you're welcome to send through any questions if you'd like me to raise them with my meeting on Wednesday. We also help you with navigation and things like we provide you with a passage plan and chart for your passage up to the islands. We do webinars and seminars on passage planning. And if you have got any concerns about navigation, I really recommend that you do some training in advance. And we've got preferred suppliers that will give you discounts on navigational training and stuff as well. So we have in the past had a few chart plotter failures, also a few power failures as well on board boats. So they've completely lost their ability to use their chart plotter and their GPS on passage. And so being able to plot a course and use your compass to navigate between here and the islands is really a essential skill. So I'd recommend brushing up on some of those skills as well, and we can help you through that. Documentation, if you're going to depart New Zealand and head up to Tonga, Fiji, Vanuatu, New Caledonia and back to New Zealand again, there's about 68 pages of paperwork to complete, and we'll help you with all of those paperwork. So we'll give it all to you so you don't need to go find it. We'll make sure that you submit it to the right people at the right time. And if you don't like doing paperwork, we recommend that you designate a crew member or a trusted friend and family member to help you through that process. And we have a webinar that talks through how to fill out all the papers and where you need to send them to. We also have a WhatsApp group with all of the rally participants, which is a great place to be able to ask questions or share ideas and share your knowledge on things that you've learned in the past. So we've had some really good debates pre-departure this year with people talking about their Starlink setups and things like that, for example. And it's a great way to kind of connect with your fellow rally participants before you head offshore, and also whilst you're away as well. Insurance is a tricky one, and getting blue water vessel insurance is something that you should do some research on as well at some stage, and we'll help you through that process too, with giving you some advice on how to go about pitching yourself to an insurance company to try and get blue water insurance. But it is an expensive part of your potential passage, and your budget, so please look into that as well. And then we also help you out with things like how to fly the flags or the courtesy flags and things, and give you discounts on those. We can provide discounts on weather routing and weather resources through Predict Wind. We also have a crew seeker service so that we can help connect you with crew members, mostly volunteer crew who want to kind of get the experience themselves before they sail offshore. Or we can also give you tips on how to interview crew members and make sure that you're not going to have any crew disputes whilst you're offshore as well. So I recommend, if you are planning on joining the rally next year, that you join early to get the most value out of all the content. And some people kind of hold off and wait until the last minute to register, and then I bombard them with everything that we've done over the last sort of 9 months or so, and it all becomes a little bit overwhelming for them because there's just so much there to go through. So there's no risk with joining early. You do pay a deposit to join and to get access to all the content. But if for any reason you can't go this year, you need to defer to next year. If something crops up work-wise or health-wise or boat-wise, I'm very happy to transfer your deposit to the following year or a future year or a South Island rally or something else. So there's not really any risk of you losing that money. You'll still be able to use it at some other stage throughout with rally participant type stuff. So join early to get the most value is my advice. As we get a bit closer to departure, again, we have a lot more other things going on. You get a rally guidebook, which looks something like that on the right, and a goodie box that gets sent out to you in March when your final balance is paid. And in there, you'll find all sorts of other information about what you're going to need when you're up in the islands and other things from our sponsors and goodies and bits and pieces like that. And then we have our rally get-togethers. So we have one on the Gold Coast in Australia at late April, and then one early May up in Opua. And this is a great time for you to connect with the other people that are sailing in your direction. We have a few extra briefings and things to go through, but everything's also covered online. So if you are departing from a different port or at a different time, you don't miss out on anything. But we have lots of social events and other things going on with our rally partners up in Opua, for example. This is Roger from North Sails, who does a really brilliant sail repairs at sea session. So you can come along to this and learn how to repair sails at sea and learn all his tips and tricks of what you need in your sail repair kit. We do a barbecue with Burns Co. We do some final passage planning tips, and we have all sorts of other fun things going on. And of course, then it's time to provision the boat and get everything on board, all your final supplies on board the boat. Do a little bit more boat yoga and make sure everything's up to speed before you head off. And we also like to try and engage with some other good community projects. So this is a company or an organization called Days for Girls, who volunteers around New Zealand. So these beautiful kits for teenage girls, sanitary kits for teenage girls, and they're light but quite bulky. And so we help transport those up to the islands, and they are then distributed by a company called Sea Mercy to the health nurses in remote islands, who just ensure that the girls get to stay in school a little bit longer when they're teenagers, which is really cool. And then, of course, it's the weather. And of course, that's a really big part of having a successful passage. And so we spend a lot of time on the weather. We've actually got meteorologists, professional meteorologists, who help us with picking the passage. And we have a big sort of farewell gathering, make sure all of the paperwork and stuff is done with customs before you head off. Get yourself some duty-free fuel if you need it. And then the next step is casting off the lines and setting sail. And of course, this is almost the you think this is the really hard part, but actually the preparation is pretty tough. And setting sail, casting off those first mooring lines, and actually getting out at sea is the next tough part. And the passage is pretty awesome experience. And if you want to get some offshore experience, the boats that are up in the islands now will all be needing helpers, potential crew members, to help them come back at the end of the season. So it's a way that you can possibly get that offshore experience if you still need it. Communications offshore is a really big topic of discussion all the time. Even in the last sort of 3 years of myself running the rally, the communications has changed hugely. So the first year we only had the option of Iridium Go. Last year, Starlink was a new thing, and we didn't actually even know whether it was going to work between here and the island. So it was very much a sort of trial and error type thing, and it worked perfectly. This year, we've still got Starlink. It's working really well, but there are issues with Starlink. It draws a lot of power, and so often when people are using their auto helm and Starlink, and it's a cloudy day, they're having trouble with power generation issues. So they're having to turn comms off or turn various things off to be able to manage their power and their powered usage on the boat. And that creates other issues, right? You disappear off the tracker and those kind of things. So having a primary and a secondary source of satellite communications on passage is a really important thing, and knowing how to use it. So we spend a lot of time on that. We are very lucky to have a partner in Predict Wind, and they have a rally tracker for us. So we get all of the boats to sign up to the Predict Wind tracking service, and you can be tracked via various different means. So it could be via your Iridium Go, via your data hub, via Garmin and Reach or other tracking services and devices. which are transmitted by satellite up to the rally tracker. This is a really important safety feature because it enables us to quickly and easily see where you are and where you are in relation to everyone else nearby. So if you're having some major dramas, which does happen, we can quickly look on the tracker and see who's nearby and get in touch with them straight away and ask them to go and lend you a hand. Predict Wind forecast, weather forecasting. They also do some really detailed webinars on how to use their software, and they give rally participants a 20% discount on their weather forecasting subscriptions, which is really nice. As I mentioned before, we have professional meteorologists who help us with the weather routing. We use a combination of Bruce Buckley and Bob McDevitt, and they give group support for the group on the passages. And we also have options for people who want to have one-on-one advice from the weather router. So if you're a particularly fast boat or a particularly slow boat, or you're wanting to depart at a different time, you might want to engage a weather router for some one-on-one advice. Or if you're happy to sail with the group and you've got an average speed boat, going with the group departure and sailing with them is a really good thing to do. If you've got an HF radio on board your boat, you can also do a sked each day with Patricia and David from Gulf Harbour Radio, who offer a really fantastic service. They track all the boats. They do a daily update with sort of news and chit chat. You can check in with them with your location and your conditions that you're experiencing. And David's a really good weather guy as well, with a guru, and he'll give you his take on what he thinks the weather's happening or doing in your situation and what you can expect in the future. The other thing actually is they do stream their broadcasts daily on YouTube. So if you've got HF Radio, your friends and family can also tune in to your sked, which is kind of fun. So I've often streamed that on our Facebook page. You might have seen it on there as well. Another really useful feature for sailing offshore is a really good friend of mine, Peter Mott, who runs a program called Passage Guardian, and he does tracking for the rally participants who sign up with him directly. He's a great person to have on your side if you have any dramas on the boat. He's got software that can quickly tell whether you have stopped or made a dramatic change of direction. So recently we had a person on board that just left New Zealand and they headed offshore, some quite strong conditions. The wife actually broke her leg and the husband was on the boat alone, and Peter picked it up straight away, sent me a message and said, these guys are heading in an odd direction. I haven't been able to get hold of them. What do you think is kind of going on? And so we managed to finally raise the husband on board. He told us what was happening and we were able to give him some guidance and some extra weather support. Book them into a marina, arrange an ambulance, and get them safely back ashore. So Peter Mott is a great person to have on your side. He's a really good support person for me too. We have a lot of kids on the rally, so a lot of families joined. Last year, I think we had 35 kids on the rally. This year, I think we've got 29 so far. So if you're thinking about taking the kids with you offshore, don't be afraid. There's great support amongst all the other families and things. They make some really good friends amongst themselves, and the kids have a wonderful time. You can do homeschooling if you wish. These guys had 5 kids on board their boat last year, which is pretty cool. Great crew members. And if we've got the weather conditions correct and the forecast is right, you're likely to just have this the whole way between here and Tonga and Fiji. Or maybe not. You might be able to catch up with some of the other boats along the way, and you can have some quite cool interactions with people in the middle of the ocean. Normally, though, the weather is probably looking a little bit more like this. This is the Vatakai, the previous owners of Island Cruising, their boat. And hopefully it's not going to look like this. And actually, that isn't taken on the rally. It's really hard to get a picture of waves offshore. As you know, they always look smaller than in real life. This is actually a Young 88 down south, but I just quite liked the photograph. As you can see the size of the waves. You get some incredible sunrises and sunsets, and we have some fun competitions on the rally just to see who can get some nice photographs along the way, and the scenery and things that you see, even at sea with nothing to see. There is some beautiful sunrises and sunsets. And then there's a fishing competition as well, and we have some very good success with various fishing along the way on the passage, and everyone's always really keen to share their catches. And of course, support if things go wrong, and there are often things that go wrong, and so I'm always on call for you if stuff happens. So we've had boats run aground, loss of power, so people have fried their batteries or had alternator issues. We had one boat catch on fire, only a minor fire, which was fine. Broken rig issues, loss of rudders, communications problems. Last year on the rally, we actually lost 4 life rafts. They just got washed overboard, which was a little bit of a major issue, but luckily we had boats on the rally later that were able to bring more up. But also other things going on with family back home, people needing to urgently leave the boat and head home, and we're able to kind of help find people to help support them in the boat sort of straight away, because you're part of this really awesome rally community. So if you're in Australia and you're wanting to depart from Australia, you've got a number of options. You can either head directly from Australia to Noumea and to New Caledonia, which is what we were originally planning a few weeks ago when I was in New Caledonia organising everything for everyone's arrival prior to it all hell breaking loose over there. So generally, Noumea is probably the first port of call for Australian boats heading offshore. These boats that were heading to New Caledonia did actually most of them diverted to Vanuatu, which is about 1,100 nautical miles, so not too much of a big difference, but it just requires a little bit of a different weather strategy. Or if you're in Australia, you can cross the Tasman and head over to New Zealand. So you can join from anywhere along the Australian coast and head straight across from New Zealand. And of course, if you're down here in Melbourne, arriving up in Brisbane, which is our main departure port, is almost as far as crossing the Tasman. So sometimes it's easier to cross the Tasman and join us in New Zealand and head up to Tonga than it is to sail up the coast and end up in Brisbane to sail across to Vanuatu. So we've got lots of different options for you if you're in Australia heading offshore. Noumea is a really cool place, and hopefully things will have settled down there next year and we can go back there again. This is the Port Moselle Marina, but Noumea is down here at the bottom. That's the only port of entry in New Caledonia. It's a fantastic cruising ground. You get a 90-day entry if you're on Australian or New Zealand visa, if you plan to spend sort of the first 3 months there and then head across to Vanuatu, it's good to keep some time up your sleeve, because you only have that 90 days in every 180 days to enter and exit. So you need to allow yourself some extra time if you might want to stop there on your way back. So Richard is on the call tonight. He does a great webinar with us a bit closer to departure, so you can learn all about New Caledonia, and he produces the New Caledonia Rocket Cruising Guide and gives the rally participants a very generous discount and all the information you need on how to use it whilst you're over there. And it's a fantastic cruising destination. I really hope that it will be safe enough for everyone to go back there again next year. There are so many things in different territory to go and see and explore whilst you're there. So that is an option. Or you can cross the Tasman from Australia and head across to New Zealand over summer. Depart at your leisure. We'll connect you up with everyone else that's thinking of doing the same thing. You can arrive into Nelson and do some cruising around the South Island, or head up to Opua in the Bay of Islands for your clearance. So Nelson is up the top here and Opua is up the top up here. There's so much to see and do. It'll really just depend on what time of the year you're planning on crossing over the Tasman to do it. Abel Tasman is a fantastic place to arrive if you go into Nelson up to the top of the South Island. The Marlborough Sounds is a gorgeous cruising destination. So much to see and do up there. You'll absolutely love it. And of course, Fiordland. And we've got a South Island rally that will give you a lot more information if you're wanting to head further south to Fiordland or Stewart Island, which is also another incredible place to go and experience along the way. Dunedin, sorry, I skipped over Dunedin Harbour, and then Oamaru, heading back up the east coast of the South Island, Akaroa Harbour, which is a great place for spotting the lovely little Hector's dolphins, which disrupted the Sail GP this year. Or you can head directly from Australia up to the Bay of Islands and into Opua, and there's some gorgeous places to just cruise around up here and take your time and just stage yourself to be ready for the next departure from Opua in early May. And when we do depart from New Zealand, generally most people like to try and stop off at Minerva Reef, which is about 750 nautical miles from Opua, definitely en route to Tonga, a little bit of a side trip from Fiji, just a couple of 100 miles out of the way. It's an incredible place to go and visit. And I was there just a couple of weeks ago, and the waves are literally breaking on the other side of the reef over here. It was quite windy on this day, and the sea is kind of rushing across here, almost like a river. It's quite hard to sort of walk against it at this tide, and it's like a waterfall crashing off the other side, and the current is just flowing vigorously into the reef inside. It's a pretty cool experience to be basically standing in a waterfall in the middle of the ocean and catching up with all the other rally boats that were there at the time. And it's incredible. Like the color of the water, it almost looks like blue food coloring. You know, it doesn't look actually real at all, but it's a pretty cool place. And of course, everyone likes to try and catch one of the famous painted lobsters, which are just cruising around on the reef if you know where to look. And from there, it's another sort of 2 to 3 days before you get to Fiji or Tonga. So 2 days to Tonga, or 3 to 4 days to get to Fiji. You'll hoist your Q flag, and we'll tell you when to do that. And then it's time to go through all the entry formalities. And this is a bit of a process. As I mentioned before, there's lots of paperwork to fill out. There's entry fees to pay, and we'll tell you what those are. Make sure that you arrive on the right day so that you don't end up paying any extra. And we'll make sure you know who you need to talk to once you arrive there. So just be prepared for the paperwork and the time that it takes to get that sorted. Fly your flag. You'll have a Pacific Rally flag or an Island Cruising Burgee to show that you're on the rally, and we let all the officials know that you're coming. So hopefully they have themselves sorted and ready for your arrival. And if you get to Tonga first, which is where a lot of the rally participants choose to go to first, you'll anchor off of Pangaimotu Island, which is just off Tongatapu. And Big Mama's Yacht Club is this little place over here. And it's if everyone arrives as a group together, we can get the officials to come out and clear you in by boat on the anchor over there.
You had a big sleep.
Hang on.
You had a big sleep.
Yeah. Right. So if you arrive directly into Savu in Fiji, then you'll arrive either at Ngawi Island Marina or Copra Shed Marina over here, which is Ngawi Island was just under development last year. So that's all a little bit more developed than it is in this photograph here. Or if you go into Fiji and you're just keen to head over to the Denarau side, you can go into Denarau Marina or Vunda Marina, which is a beautiful marina just north of Nandi and a very popular spot for cruisers to go into. And then once you've arrived and you've completed all the paperwork, it's time to relax. And of course, this is when all the fun stuff begins. So you've done all of this hard work, preparing your boat for the adventure at the head, doing the offshore passage, which is a huge achievement in itself. And now you're in the islands and you can explore at your leisure. We provide you with a detailed rally guidebook. You get discounts in the marinas. We provide you with shore crew support. So I'm heading up next week to the islands again, and I've got a bag full of spare parts and things that everyone needs me to bring up for them. Local assistance. So if you want any recommendations for local contractors when it comes to repairs and things. And we have regular check-ins via WhatsApp and weekly emails with all the rally participants with any news or special things that they need to be aware of along the way. Welcome events are really popular. So the marinas often put on a bit of a welcome show, and obviously it's a great time to debrief with everyone about the passage that you've had going up there, and share all the celebrations and the fun times of arriving at the other end, and also having a bit of a cultural experience at the arrival port. So in Big Mama's Yacht Club, they put on a bit of a party for us. So last year it was pretty basic, and this year they've really ramped up their facilities there for us, which is really cool. So you don't need to decide your destination straight away. You can choose those at any time. In fact, there are people still up in the islands that are just deciding whether they want to stay longer or go further or do whatever they like. So you can literally pick and choose. You don't need to feel under any pressure to decide where you're going right now. And literally Tonga, Fiji, Vanuatu, New Caledonia, Australia, and New Zealand are right on your doorstep. If you do choose to go to Tonga first, most people will clear in at Nuku'alofa, which is the closest port of arrival, and it's also the main airport there. It's a great place for refueling, great place for changing crew. If you've got family and friends flying in or crew flying out, it's a great stop as well. As I mentioned before, Big Mama's Yacht Club is there, and Big Mama is a really great supporter of the rally, and they put on a really awesome feast for us today, last week, a couple of weeks ago, and the Royal Tongan Police Band actually came out to the island and performed. They've got like a 26-piece band and incredible singers, and basically rocked the house all night. Everyone was dancing. It was fantastic. Fires on the beach, sports games. You can head ashore into Tongatapu to do a tour. They've got like a cave that you can swim in, a freshwater cave. They've also got a really interesting history in Tongatapu of the Kingdom of Tonga, which stretches back thousands of years, and really interesting to go and have a look at that. They've got blowholes. And we've got some really good local contacts in Tonga as well that can help you out with stuff. On the left here, this is Greg up in Vavau, and he'll help you with filling your gas bottles and all sorts of local knowledge. And Olini down here in Tongatapu, he'll help you refuel or run you to and from the airport, and help you find spare parts and stuff. They're really nice people, and great to have as our rally guides or rally local contacts in the islands. And from there, you can head off and explore at your leisure. So this is literally an island just around the corner from Big Mama's Yacht Club that you have completely to yourself. You have some fun social events, getting to know all your other fellow rally participants. And then, yeah, cruise. This is up through Hapai Group. So this is the next group of islands north of Tongatapu, which a lot of people describe as the Tuamotus of Tonga. It's a lot of low-lying coral reefs and low-lying atolls, and we've got a couple of really beautiful resorts in Hapai, which love to welcome the rally participants as well. So this is the Kite Surf Resort, and they like to welcome everyone ashore into their restaurant and bar, and you can have beach parties or go and visit some of the other volcanoes and things. Actually, not this volcano because it's currently a little bit more active, but last year they went up and had a look inside this volcano, which was pretty cool. So yeah, people tend to sort of fall in with the people they get along with, and you can cruise along. This was all the groups of families cruising together last year and rafted up in Vavau in one of the reefs in there, which has got like a really narrow entrance for them to get into, but a really cool, nice, calm, sheltered spot when they get in there. And as I mentioned, we like to do some really nice community projects if we can. So this is the Vavau Children's Library. So you can take books if you want to donate books up to the islands. And Niafu in Vavau is a great anchorage, and this is the main town here, and you can pick up an mooring outside. You can go and visit the whales, which I did last year, and they have arrived already. The whale season officially starts on the 1st of July, so the whales have got this in their calendar as well, and they'll turn up at the same time. You can swim with the whales on one of the tours. It's a life-changing experience. I highly recommend it. Or you can just go cruising and explore. There's lots of caves and gorgeous anchorages that you can go and spend some time relaxing and exploring. We also did a beach clean last year and this year with the VEPA, which is the Vavau Environmental Protection Agency, and we picked up a huge amount of rubbish last year, and also they did last week as well. And this is at Mango. They put on a bit of a party. You can go to the church and listen to the amazing Tongans singing at the churches, and go to a quiz night at the Kraken. And also hang out on this new bar, which I haven't seen yet, and I'm looking forward to catching up on that in a couple of weeks' time, which is just opened. It's a floating bar in the harbour. They also have a botanical garden, which is a really fun day out. You can go for a feast there and meet some of the locals as well in Tonga. And then it's time to clear out. This is the customs office in Vavau, and then we head across to Fiji. So it's either a 2 or 3 day passage from Tonga to Fiji, and Fiji is a huge cruising destination. So you can either arrive from Tonga across from here, or you can sail in from New Zealand. The most popular ports of clearance are either Savu up here, or Nandi or Lautoka over here at the other side. So it's Denarau and Vunda Marina over this side. There are other ports of clearance, but they're more focused on shipping. So the yachts generally will clear in at these places at the marinas. We do also try and do a Lao clearance over here at Vanua Balavu. We were hoping to get that done here this year, and we would have been clearing in this week actually, but the Fijian health officials decided to increase their fees quite considerably. In fact, the price was over 4 times more what we paid last year, and the rally participants this year didn't think it was worth it, and I agreed. So we pulled the pin on the Lao clearance this year, but we might still try and do it next year if we can talk to them about being a bit more reasonable about their costs. So yeah, as mentioned, if we can do it next year, we will. This year, last year it was about 1,200 Fijian dollars per boat. This year it was about $4,600 per boat to do the Fijian Lao clearance, which was too expensive. So it's not that much further though to clear in at Savu, and as I mentioned before, you've got the choice of Ngawi Marina or Coppershed Marina over here, which are both great places to clear into. There's great markets there. We can go and reprovision, and big strong Indian community influence over there as well. And when you get to Fiji, we'll make sure that you are fully aware of all the Sevu protocol, which is an essential thing to know about when you're heading to Fiji. It's this route that I've got my hands on is the Kava route, and you need to take that with you to each village that you go and visit and present this to the chief and ask his permission for you to stay and visit that particular island. So it's important to get this right. It's a really important cultural protocol in Fiji. Whether you're a visitor or a Fijian person going to a new village, it's something that you must do. So we'll talk you through all that so that you understand what's required of you there. The marinas put on lots of fun welcome events as well, so you can try the kava and get to learn a little bit more about the Sevu protocol. And this is what Sevu kava looks like. It's sort of bundled up into almost like a bunch of flowers, if you like, but it's the route that you present to the chief and ask for his permission for you to stay. We've also got lots of other yachty-friendly resorts. Vianney Bay, I'm going to visit that next week. They do a weekly potluck dinner for yachties, for the rally participants, where you can bring along your own food, and they also contribute stuff to share as well. You can use their facilities, and they also have some great discounts on their diving facilities and tours. And Paradise in Taveuni, again, I'm going to visit that next week too, and it's a great spot to go and anchor up. And so long as you're drinking and eating in the bar and restaurant, you can use all of their other facilities, like hanging out by the pool and relaxing and doing some of their dive tours. It's gorgeous. They have other things like barbecues and cultural evenings and sing-alongs and things like that for their guests, and you're welcome to participate. If we are able to clear in at the Lao group, then Loma Loma, this is the anchorage for Loma Loma in Vanua Balavu, and we'd get all the officials to come out and clear us in over here, and we have some welcome events there, and another village called Sasui Village. This man here is called Jacob, and we did a really big fundraising event with his village last year. We were able to raise enough funds for the village to buy a new outboard motor for their village boat, which they've just taken possession of, which is really cool. Also in the Lao group, it's a stunning place to go. This is Batavu Harbour, which is a really sheltered harbour, and you can do a beautiful walk up the top of the village here to a house. The guy that owns this also owns the Vunda Marina. It's a gorgeous place to go and anchor, and they've got like a yacht club down on the shorelines, which isn't actually a yacht club, it's a village, it's just a building basically, but we had an event there. We brought our own gas bottle and had a barbecue and a bit of a potluck dinner up there. But you can walk up to the top of the hill and look over the back to this place here, which is called the Bay of Islands. And of course, you've probably seen this in some of the covers of my magazines or in other things that we've sent out. It's a stunning part of the world. But before you go to Bay of Islands, you must go and visit Dalathoni Village, which is the village that owns the Bay of Islands and do your Sevu Sevu. And because we were such a big group, they put on a great performance of us for us with all the kids from the village. And they said, "Who's your chief? Who's the chief of the rally?" And I, of course, got to put my hand up and go and have the first taste of the kava. And then after that, you can go and anchor in their beautiful backyard, basically, which is the Bay of Islands. And it's an incredible place to go and visit. There's lots of caves and things that you can go and dive and snorkel through. The water is crystal clear. It's a gorgeous place to go, as you can see from some of these pictures. But Fiji does come with its challenges, and the most challenging thing is the navigation. And this is where you really need to have your brain switched on. The charts are inaccurate, and it is dangerous to sail around Fiji without doing some homework beforehand. So you need to use Mark 1 eyeball, which is having somebody on the bow pointing at where you need to go, because the reefs could be out by some considerable distance. And you need to zoom in on your charts and also do satellite chart navigation. And we do a lot of work on this as part of the rally preparation. So you need to know about tides and navigation, but not just looking at your GPS chart plotter and a pink line on the plotter, because that could be plotting you across the reef. You need to actually be able to use your brain as well, that a computer can't do. But once you get in there, the challenges are all worth it. And as you can see, it's literally is paradise. And this is down in Whalunga, which is one of the southernmost islands in the Lau group. Of course, there's always boat maintenance to do, and that's what cruising is boat maintenance in exotic places. There's also lots of interesting things to go and visit as well. So they have caves where they show you some of the people, that the warriors and things that they've eaten in the past, and go and explore their villages, or go off and do your own thing. So it's an incredible part of the world. And the Lau group, it really is the jewel in the crown. There's no tourism there apart from yachting, so there's no hotels. There are a couple of airports, but it's literally just for the locals coming and going. And you really get to be part of village life, getting to really interact with these communities. In Whalunga, they match you up with a family. So if you're going to Whalunga, you get matched up with a local host family, and they'll invite you to their house for dinner, and you might invite them onto the boat for dinner. And there's some really incredible relationships that are formed between the locals and the cruisers as part of this connection. Some of the other really cool things you can do with the locals. This is Martin, who was able to fix the village generator for this village who'd been without lights and water for months, until Martin turned up with the parts and the know-how on how to fix it, which of course he became a local hero by fixing their village generator. And everyone in Fiji is genuinely interested to see you. They are the most lovely, welcoming people, and they really are just fantastic. So everyone loves Fiji because of the people that are there and the relationships that you build with them. And of course, there's the underwater things that you can see as well. So lots of great diving. There's manta rays, and we'll tell you where they are. You can do shark dives as well down in Kandavu. There's some really good shark dives and things down there. Beautiful coral, like you're way off the beaten track in some of the places that you can go to, and just crystal clear waters. Great hikes and things that you can do as well. Interesting history, which you have to literally kind of hack your way through the bush to find. There's no sort of tracks here, but this is right at the top of a very steep mountain in the middle of nowhere, an old cannon, which nobody really knows how it got there, but that's a really interesting story to go and find as well. We've got caves, which is the cave from the Blue Lagoon movie. And of course, the surfing, which is legendary in Fiji, and everyone loves going and doing the surfing. Girls can go and do the yoga. Men are able to go and do yoga as well. And the kids just get welcomed with open arms, and thoroughly spoiled, and literally makes great friends for life over there. So you can either choose to cruise with your friends or cruise alone. You can do whatever you like, really. Or you can head to Muscat Cove, which is a a place where cruisers often sail into Fiji and get to Muscat Cove and then don't go any further. It's a beautiful, welcoming place for sailors. They've got this bar out here called the Island Bar. They've got a marina dock here where you can moor into here. They've got moorings out in this particular area or in Anchorage, and you can go ashore and eat in their restaurant, use the laundry facilities. They've got a little shop there if you want things to buy sort of groceries and things. And they've also got like a daily ferry that comes in about 3 or 4 times a day. So your friends and family can come in and out as well if you don't even need to go into town anytime. And they are host to the Muscat Cove Regatta, which is every September and is a highlight on the cruises social agenda. They have a pirate party and everyone goes and has a great time. There's all sorts of other events like beach cleans and Hobie cat racing and lots of socializing and stuff to be done. And then, yeah, Fiji still does have its challenges again with the navigation. We have had a few issues with the navigation before with, this was a boat that was joined us just for the Lau clearance last year and was wrecked on a reef in the Lau group. So we do spend a lot of time making sure that you understand how to use the charts and satellite images in Fiji, because you need to take extra care when you're cruising around there. So it's not a sort of a matter of time of if or when you hit something in Fiji. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of how the navigation is there and the charting. Vanuatu is another awesome place to go, and often we'll have people that have done Tonga and Fiji and then just want to head directly to Vanuatu the following season. You get a 30-day entry on arrival, and that's extendable for to 120 days. And again, Richard Cheshire, who's also on this call, does a great webinar for us and a great cruising guide called the Rocket Guide, which for Vanuatu, which he will run you through as well when we've got to that stage. So Vanuatu is famous for its really interesting culture and quite a different geography. So this is arriving into Tanna, and they've got a live erupting volcano that you can literally walk up to the edge of and look into. So you can clear in here, arrange to get special clearance in here, and we'll talk you through how to do that. And Mount Yasur volcano is actively erupting. I've been up there as well. It's terrifying. It is very dangerous, and it is incredible. And you can go and stand right on the edge of this erupting volcano. Don't fall in, because literally here there is no health and safety. This guy's in his jandals, and you could literally just fall down here and you're in the lava. So if you're taking young children or people that are a bit wobbly on their feet, just make sure you hold on to them really, really tightly. Wear a jacket because it can get quite cold and windy up the top. And then you're literally looking into the center of the earth with erupting lava blowing up in front of your eyes. It's incredible and terrifying, but it's awesome. So you can make your decision as to whether to go to that. But heading further north through the islands, a lot of the islanders have really sort of tried to develop the yachting tourism and their offerings for cruising sailors. So you can go along and drop off your rally flag. Head up to Port Vila and Yachting World, which is another marina that offers some great discounts for rally participants, welcome events and fire shows at the local beach bar. And of course, if you head up there early enough, you can go and see the land diving at Pentecost. And this is on from about April through until June, July kind of time, when the vines are at the right sort of stretchiness. And we've had quite a few boats this year go and do this. And it is an incredible experience to be part of the land diving. You feel like you're part of a National Geographic magazine, literally up there. And another place in Ambrim, a place called Lomwalwal, they've got a lake where you can go kayaking, and they'll put on a beautiful feast for you, and you can help them prepare the meal and learn about their way of life in the village. And yeah, wonderful people, amazing cultural experiences that you can experience in Vanuatu, and quite different to Tonga and Fiji. It's a different landscape, different people. And this is some of the sand drawing that they do, which is part of their cultural things, and the water music that they make with women make with their hands, which is also something quite incredible to view. Great festivals as well. So there's lots of cultural things and events that you can attend. And this is some of the boats from Australia that were in Vanuatu just last week. So, and then you can head on to New Caledonia if you wish. So there's Richard and I just a couple of weeks ago, and Alex and Clementine, who are from Noumea Yacht Services. They are an agent over there. They're taking very good care of all the yachts that did end up in New Caledonia this season. At present, it is still a little bit unsettled over there, so we'll keep you up to speed with how things go in New Caledonia. It's a great destination if you can get there, but it's also a good stopping point to head either back to Australia or back to New Zealand. So it's only about 900 miles back to New Zealand, about 800 miles back to Australia, depending on where you clear into. So then it's time to head for home. So we normally try and get everyone home by 1 November. So we start looking for a weather window from mid-October, and we'll help you again with all the biosecurity, the documentation, advance notice of arrival paperwork, with weather routing for the passage, and potentially you could have a stopover in Norfolk Island if you're heading from New Caledonia back to New Zealand. So a key thing about having a successful passage back to New Zealand in particular, Australia is a little bit easier with those southeast trade winds, but heading back to New Zealand is a little bit more challenging. We'll talk to you through the weather strategy for the sail south, just to make sure that you've got your knowledge there for the meteorology for the trip. And also our meteorologists will be picking the passage date to depart and keeping a close eye on you on the way. And we'll also make sure that you know what you can and can't take when you arrive back in New Zealand. Your boat will be searched and your hull will be checked to make sure that you haven't transferred any nasties on the bottom of your hull in terms of biofouling. So you can choose whether you head on to Australia or down to New Zealand. It's entirely up to you. You can go in either direction, and we'll help support you in either way. Or some people also continue to head on further afield up to Indonesia, or stay up in the islands over summertime. That's an option too if you decide to go there. If you're sailing back to New Zealand, this is North Cape. That's probably the first thing that you're going to see on a beautiful day on this particular passage. But our rally dates, as I mentioned before, we normally try to get everyone assembled together late April, early May. We have some pre-departure activities and events to get everyone sorted. Start looking for that weather window to head north. If we do the Lau entry, then you have to sail in from Tonga, and we try to do that about this time of the year, mid-July. You can choose your own destinations, so you can go to any of those above islands. Just recommend that you start in the east and head west. And you can either return to New Zealand or Australia in mid-October, or sail to your own schedule. You can do whatever you like. So the cost to enter the rally is around $17.95 New Zealand dollars, which is around $16.65 Australian dollars. $129 for a crew member, which gets, if you've got your crew, they can join and participate in all the rally activities and things like that as well. If we do the Lau entry, that is an additional cost, and I'll keep you posted about that as we go along. Additional costs are any country entry fees, which are paid locally and in local currency, and I'll tell you what those all are. Any other optional add-ons, so if we can arrange any other special events or clearances like the Lau entry, your insurance and marina fees, and any other personal expenses and meals and drinks at events. So we deliberately don't include the cost of social activities in our rally entry fee, because we recognise not everyone likes to drink alcohol and not everyone is able to make it to those particular events. So those are all added extras if you're able to attend. So you will need a sense of adventure and a sense of humour. You'll need to have you, your crew, and your vessel very well prepared for the adventures ahead. A Cat 1 safety certificate for New Zealand registered vessels, and I'll help you through all of that. If you go through that process with Maritime New Zealand, I'll make sure it's as smooth and easy as possible. If you're not a New Zealand registered vessel, you don't need to have the Cat 1 certificate, but I still highly recommend you prepare your vessel to that standard. It is the gold 5-star practice for vessels heading offshore. I highly recommend you have AIS on your boat, so make sure that you can be seen by others as well. And you'll need also the ability to receive email at sea by some satellite or HF connection to get your weather updates and other rally information along the way. And also valid passports. Check your passports are up to date and get those renewed if you need to. A $600 deposit secures your place on the rally, and I recommend, as mentioned, that you join early to get the most benefit. The full payment is due the 1st of March next year, and if you're unable to attend for any reason, I'm very happy to transfer that to the following season, so you don't need to feel like you're going to miss out on being able to get the use out of your deposit. So the rally is all about flexibility, fun people, training advice and discounts, all the documentation and research done for you, so you don't need to spend a whole lot of time doing that yourselves. We'll give you information about all the places you're going to visit, support if things go wrong. We'll save you lots of time and lots of money along the way, and we'll ensure that you feel confident and well prepared on your departure day. So the Pacific awaits. And yeah, I'm open to any questions, so please feel free to type them now in the chat box below. I can see I've got a few in there already. I'm just going to have a quick drink. Haven't even stopped to take an inward breath, so I'm just going to stop sharing my screen so I can see all your lovely faces. Right, so let's have a look at our questions. Where was that pic taken? Neil, I can't remember which photo that was, but if you want to ask me, I can definitely tell you if you can explain which picture it was. Just wondering what the Australian equivalent is to Cat 1. Good question. There isn't an Australian equivalent to Cat 1, so they do have the World Sailing Regulations apply to Australian vessels, and Australian vessels do still need to meet a safety requirement, but you don't need to have a Cat 1 safety inspection or a Cat 1 safety certificate, which is the main difference between Australian vessels and New Zealand vessels. New Zealand vessels basically have to have like a equivalent of a warrant of fitness before they go offshore. Australian vessels don't need to have that, so you don't need to worry about the Cat 1 check, if you like, but as I say, I still highly recommend that you prepare your boat to that standard. Is there any place we can find these tips on Fiji cruising? So Mark and Caroline, you're on the rally already. Yes, there is, and I will send you the webinar that we did for the rally participants earlier this year on passage planning around Fiji. So I'll flick you a message about that directly shortly. Boris, thank you, dear Boris. Lovely that you could join us online tonight. Lovely to have you here. Hey Vicky, just wondering about the medical support around the place. Do you assist with that kind of thing? Good question.
Nice. Thank you for wonderful and helpful day night.
Thank you, Boris. Lovely to hear your voice.
Highly
Lovely to hear from you, Boris. We'll catch up soon.
You will, we need
you. Medical support around the place. Good question. So medical support. Medical facilities in the Pacific are a little bit hit and miss. So we highly recommend that you take out travel insurance for your trip around the island. So some places, for example, New Caledonia, they've got fantastic medical facilities, but you are actually required to have travel insurance over there. If you get sick in somewhere like Tonga, for example, or in a remote place in Fiji, you're probably going to be wanting to be medic evacuated back to New Zealand or Australia. The facilities in some of these places are not very great. So out in some of the remote islands in Fiji, they don't even have power, for example. I was in one of the health clinics in the Lau group last year, and they had a generator running and a power cord crossing over to the actual medical centre. So you really want to make sure you've got your medic training and a good Cat 1 kit with really good antibiotics and bits and pieces like that, with lots of bits and pieces in there and painkillers and that kind of stuff. So we can definitely help support you if you have a medical emergency, but we're not doctors, obviously, so you do need to make provision for that as well. Richard, thank you. Fantastic presentation. Lovely to have you on here, Richard, and I really look forward to connecting with you and sharing your knowledge with all the rally participants a little bit later on down the track. Thank you. Alison, is Lao group entry into Fiji, vice versa? If you enter in another place, is the Lao entry necessary to go to the Lao Islands? Good question, Alison. And no, it's not. So the Lao entry, and I didn't really cover this off very well in the presentation, the Lao group entry is really only a benefit if you're sailing across from Tonga to Fiji. Because you actually have to sail directly past Vanua-Balavu to go and clear in, and then it's an upwind bash to get back down again to Vanua-Balavu. So we fly all of the officials out to Vanua-Balavu and do the clearance there, which sort of saves you a couple of 100 nautical miles sailing up to Savu and then trying to sail back down again. So it's a great thing when we can do it, but not at the price that they were quoting us at this year. I think it is worth paying sort of $1,200 to do it, which also included the normal Fiji entry fees, but I wasn't prepared to pay $4,600 per boat to do it this year. I didn't think it was worth that. So otherwise you just wait for a weather window to get back down there again. So you don't need to do it twice. It's only if you're sailing across from Tonga in mid-July. Do you need an HF radio if you have Starlink, and which Starlink package? Good question, Sally. You don't need to have HF radio, not at all. HF radio is a fantastic thing if you've got it on your boat. I would definitely recommend you keep it and learn how to use it. Starlink is fantastic. So we had Starlink all the way up on the passage that I did on my boat, and we managed to have enough power to keep it on the whole time as well. And of course, you've got high-speed internet. You can post pictures on Facebook. You can reply. I could be online talking to all my rally participants on WhatsApp. You could be watching videos or uploading videos if you wanted to. You pay extra, obviously, for the data costs. But the Starlink packages are constantly kind of changing. So I wouldn't like to recommend something now for you to lock in. But basically what happens is, in New Zealand, or when you're close to a land-based station, you pay like a normal roaming price. And when you go offshore, so when you get outside of the land-based station, you pay what's called mobile priority, and it's a higher price when you're at sea to use Starlink, but it still works perfectly well. So the key things with Starlink that I would say is that it is reasonably expensive to use. It uses a whole lot of power, so you need to really carefully work out your power budget, and we talk you through how to do that. And it's also a little bit temperamental, so if it's rough sea conditions, or if the unit gets a big wave over the top of it, or you end up in the life raft, you can't take your Starlink with you, or if you've got power issues, you can't use your Starlink. So it's not a fail-safe, robust offshore means of communications would probably be my way that I would explain it. But I would recommend having it on board, but also having a really solid, durable backup that is sort of offshore capable to take with you. So I hope that answers your question. Is Southport still your departure point from Australia? Is there any flexibility, Chris? Yes, there is flexibility in that. Generally speaking, you want to depart from either Southport or further south. So you don't want to be trying to depart from any further north than Southport, because you'll just have the southeast trade winds on your nose pretty much the whole time. So we really recommend Southport as our get-together if you want to have a social gathering. But if you want to depart from Sydney, for example, or Melbourne or further south, you can definitely do that and just meet up with us up in the islands. That's not a problem at all. So if we've got a big enough group kind of coming from further south, we might have a different sort of group departure point as well. So I sort of work through that once I know how many people are registered and where they're all coming from. So we work through that. But Southport is our general place of departure from Australia, but you can go from wherever you like. Jean-Paul, thanks. Where can we sign up for a membership? We're planning to join you in 2026. Thanks, Jean-Paul. You can just sign up on our website, islandcruising.nz, and there is a membership form or a join form there. You can just join, $129. You can join and be part of all the community between now and when you get ready to go. Thank you. When we start all the rally seminars, etc., with the 2025 participants, Hamish, good question. We will be starting this week. So I've got the first pack, if you like, to go out there, which is just kind of getting everyone sort of prepared for what's ahead, and it'll be a couple of weeks after that where we'll send through the next pack, which is the yacht manual for you to get started on completing, which you get in the post, and you also get another worksheet to work through with a checklist on all the different things on your boat, sort of different systems to start sort of considering on the boat, to start thinking about. So the boat jobs are normally the ones that take the longest amount of time. So we start there, and then we work through things like getting the crew prepared. We talk a lot about navigation, passage planning, all the documentation you need. And we do all the specific destinational webinars for Vanuatu, New Caledonia, Tonga, Fiji. We have weather seminars, webinars about how to fill out all the paperwork, passage planning webinars. So there's lots coming up, and it's all sort of staggered out between now and the departure date, and it's all recorded. So if you do join later, you can still catch up, but it's quite a lot of stuff to catch up on. So as I say, I recommend that you join early to just get on board with it and get underway straight away if you're interested in going next year. Is there a size limit for a boat, is what Boris's grandson Oscar wants to know. Boris, no, you can come in any size yacht so long as it's an ocean-going vessel, and you can definitely bring your boat on the rally for sure if you're happy to sail offshore on her. David, thank you, Vicky. Great presentation, great advice. Wendy and I are still living the dream from last year's rally. You lived up to our promise and way beyond our expectations. Kind regards, Wendy and David. Oh, thanks, you guys. You guys were awesome. And Wendy and David did a wonderful job of rescuing that boat that I showed you in the picture that was wrecked on the reef. They really went above and beyond expectations of rally participants to help those guys out. So thank you, you guys. You're legends. Abby, how would we get in contact with rally participants coming back from the islands and needing crew? So thanks, Abby. Yes, you can join our Crew Seeker service. So it's a free service for members of Island Cruising. So you just need to be a member. And we've got a page on our website where you can list your profile. And I also email all of the people on the Crew Seeker list every time an opportunity comes up. So there's lots of things coming and going all the time. I just sent one out this afternoon for someone needing crew from Noumea to Brisbane. So that's something that just came through today. So there's all sorts of really interesting things, and you can choose whether you'd like to apply for them or not, or people can contact you directly as well. So drop me a message and I can send you some more details. We'd like to sail from Australia to New Caledonia or Vanuatu next year in 2025 and down to New Zealand in 2025. How do we sign up? Thanks, Paul. Good question. On our website, islandcruising.nz, if you click on the upcoming rallies page on our website and then look at Pacific Rally 2025, it's got all the information on there. The registration link is at the bottom, and I will also send all of you that's participated tonight a link to that website as well, so that you can see all the details and join us if you wish. Look forward to having you all on board. So that is all the questions. Thank you for your great questions, and thank you very much for listening to me prattle on for an hour and a bit. And we've got one more here. What are the typical counts on our rallies? Good question. On 2021, we had 27 boats. 2022, we had 27 boats start. Last year, we had about 70 boats start. And this year, we've now got about 120 boats scattered all around the Pacific. So they're all over the place. They're in New Zealand, Australia, Tonga, Vanuatu, New Caledonia, everywhere. So you can be all across everywhere. You're not going to be in one spot together with that many boats at any one time, but it's a great way of being connected with all the people that are up on the islands and cruising and having fun. We basically join the dots between all of you. So yeah. Joe, we can't wait to head north in 2025. The Julia crew are wanting to know, is there a fresh coconut supply across the Pacific? There is, Joe, and I'm hoping that you will be making the pina coladas. I look forward to catching up with you guys. If you saw my post this morning of the Parlay crew in Fiordland, you'll see the Julia crew in on their boat in Fiordland, and I believe Joe was not wearing any clothes in that picture. We have to watch the video to find out. Mike, I'm sure there are multiple Vickies. She's everywhere at once. Lovely to hear from you, Mike. I'm glad you could join us. And I wish that we were back having those sunset drinks in Noumea like we were a few weeks ago. It's all a bit of a different world since then, isn't it? Anything for crew, where to list, drop me an email, Sue, and I'll let you know about the crew seeker list. No problem at all. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Angie. Lovely to hear from you. Feel free to message me directly. As I say, I'll email you and you'll have my contact details, and I'm happy to answer any other questions one-on-one. So lovely to have you joining us. Good night.